Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Finger Puppets Podcast. This is me, Jacob, with our buddy Noel here, who's been on a few past podcasts, and we have a special guest, Crazy Shooting, aka the Mark Deck, and now known the Click.
So we're getting paid this time, right?
Fucking, we don't get paid that much. We are not good. Jesus.
All right.
We're not making a repeat of last year.
Someone to pay for you. You just have to market stuff shamelessly.
Well,
I have a few free-to-play games.
mm,
I want those. So, hello, Crazy.
Hello, how are you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, doing wonderful. Welcome to the Season 2 podcast.
Thank you. So, what do you guys usually do around here? Hang around with the cool kids?
Oh, the coolest kids.
whoa there, chill out. All right. I don't.
We're hanging out with the best of kids. We had Zeb, who, I think he's dead or something. I don't know anymore.
Did he die during the podcast or afterwards?
I wish it was recorded for the views, man.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's not too bad for me because I don't have anything to worry about in that case. I think.
Real quick, I was going to tell Noel something that happened yesterday. That's why. Actually, if you were on yesterday, we wouldn't have done the podcast because my car broke down, and my reaction to that was pushing it to the nearest Zaxby's and getting food.
Ouch.
Which brings me to this. Every store I've been to that sells their hottest sauce, all their hottest sauce are bullshit.
Well,
This
not all of
this
them can be
insane
the
sauce.
hottest.
Well, this insane sauce, they call it, the hottest sauce they have, and it's subpar to sriracha.
Wow. I think anything that has insane in the label isn't really insane. It's like
Stop
having
destroying my points for my
it's
own
like
show.
having labeled something fresh. I mean, nothing labeled fresh is actually fresh.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, in some cases, fresh eggs, even though they've been in a freezer for a few years.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
man.
fresh eggs. Best before 2015.
They're fresh. They weren't artificially made. All right.
Oh, they're perfect. Right for the taking.
Genetically engineered eggs, just cooked up in a lab.
Oh yeah, they're just like apples. When they get like really ripe and nice, they turn red. And yeah.
Oh, that's
they turn red. Just red eggs now. All right.
Yeah. Red
I'm
eggs,
down.
of course.
they were white. They were white yesterday. They're red today. What happened?
It was racism because of whiteness, so they had to change it.
Oh God! Don't even get me started. God damn it. You're gonna bring this podcast into a very controversial area.
It's
It was gonna happen eventually.
I'm already on the
most
list for
important
you
thing
two.
is that you had fun along the way.
Absolutely.
I don't even
So-
think you've watched an episode of this.
Oh.
So you're in for a treat.
I like treats, so that's perfectly fine.
Ah, hell yeah. No, you were gonna say something. I really interrupted. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Crazy. I noticed you got a bit of a accent going on. What's up with that?
Oh.
I'm curious.
Oh yeah, I'm inbred.
Wait.
No, I come from that tiny cold country up north that's called Sweden.
Oh, really?
Mooses. Yeah. We have a tradition during summer that's called midsummer, and we dress up a pole in flowers and leaves, and we dance around it and we sing Little Frogs.
Would it offend
I
you
don't-
if now I just call you the less popular PewDiePie?
That was pretty much
A little much.
years ago. I think that's the
Actually,
kind of face for
before-
every single Swedish YouTuber, to be honest.
A few years ago, before I even found out you were even Swedish at all, I just thought of you as a different Markiplier.
Aww.
Ah,
Actually
you were
talked to
so
Markiplier
close.
back in the day.
Oh,
He's
really?
He's a cool dude, yeah.
Mm. I met someone who said they were Markiplier's cousin, but that van did not seem nice.
Free Markiplier candy inside.
Free Markiplier autographs. He's having a beat up down the road, kids.
Yeah, just hop in my van. It will go right there. Remember
Now
to keep
it's
your pants at home because pants are overrated.
free Logan Paul raps down the road. Hop in the
Oh,
van. Let's
fuck.
go. Oh,
Free Logan Paul
I'm gonna
merch.
bring it to controversy area.
Yeah, this is gonna be bad. We're gonna end up making everybody hates us, not even with the matter of who they are. Now, PewDiePie fans will hate us. Logan Paul kids will hate us. What more do we have?
I mean, we complimented Markiplier, so we're good on that.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's quite a big following. So
But what about that Jacksepticeye kid?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Fucking Jacksepticeye. I don't know what that was.
That's
Wait a minute.
that sounds interesting. A Swedish person trying to imitate a Irishman. That's
He's Irish. Yeah, he's Irish.
yeah.
Let's see how the Irish talk kind of like. Hello, them laddies. Let's go down to the pub and have a wee bit of Guinness, eh? Hey, to be fair.
That is so fucking perfect.
Mm.
That is upsettingly good. It sounds racist, but it's true.
It's pretty close. I've got a friend of mine that has a Scottish accent.
Oh yeah,
It's
those
pretty
are impossible
close.
to understand initially. Holy fuck.
Yeah, they're pretty difficult, but
I've been told when I get mad, I start doing a weird bud, or I start just yelling in a weird accent. People are like, "What? Are you Irish or something? What's this?" It's literally just me screaming, "What the fuck, bud? What is this shit?" I don't think Noel has seen me like that. I'm so proud of you.
what?
You're the only person that hasn't seen me going into actual rage. Where I'm in
Scottish rage.
Scottish rage. Grab a pint and get ready to die. Whoa! So one of the greatest things that happened down the road from my home in the great state of Florida was not Parkland. It was the grade schools that weren't called out for having more deaths than that. Oh, just last week we had 2 different school shootings in the same county. Isn't that beautiful?
What a streak.
Yeah.
And no news outlets covered. I think that kind of makes it a little. Well, probably because one wasn't even with a gun. They just called it a shooting. It was with a knife.
Okay, shooting with a knife. Got it. That sounds wonderful.
He fucking ran in with his switchblade. God damn.
It sounds like a scene. I can just imagine someone bursting through the school doors like. With
Oh,
a
goodness.
knife.
I was unprepared for that.
Come on.
I didn't think you could make that noise. I gotta say, the other one was with a little Glock, and what was it, like 18 people? Except it happened with a Glock, so you know, can't cover that. That would ruin all their arguments.
Yeah, then it's actually a shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there've been a lot of that stuff in the U.S. lately. A lot of it. That's pretty unique. The mass shootings. It's a strange thing that's going on.
I think it's just monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I think partially. I was starting to read into it because the gun law stuff is actually quite fascinating subject. Not because I care about it politically, really, but because it's much deeper than you initially think. So the first thing you do is that you investigate, right? So how much does gun density in the population actually affect shootings in general, just general shootings? And it turns out there's pretty much no correlation between shootings and density of guns. It's kind of odd, really. At least if you count it on a country basis. But then you start looking at gun laws, how strict they are. And there are plenty of gun laws that, or plenty of arguments that say that strict gun laws prevent shootings and stuff. And they have a bunch of examples of this where they have divided states into different categories for gun laws. But the interesting part is that when you actually plot them up or run a regression analysis on all the data, you can still sort it in the manner they have. But if you count the actual residuals in the data, it only adds up to about 6% of the variance. So about 6% of the shooting numbers can actually be explained by restrictive gun laws. which is kind of fascinating. And of course, 6%, it's kind of, I'm going on a mathematical rant, but when you're talking about human psychology or human behavior, it's very rare that you get an R-squared value that's larger than 0.5, because there are so many factors contributing. We are complex beings, sort of, we're special. But 6% is still very small, even by human psychology standards. But when you measure, for example, poverty, you actually get a 20% explanation rate. So that's kind of interesting. It's more than 3 times the impact of poverty than it is with restrictive gun laws, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's funny because they say that, oh, you can just buy a gun from a gun show. No, they've disproven that many times. Steven Crowder's done it. Actually, someone at Fox News even did it, which is surprising because it's Fox News.
Yeah, I've seen that done many times. They go undercover and try to like pay people on the table and try to sneak out guns and stuff, and they're always just stonewalled.
Like, yeah, we can't do that. We get in trouble. It's it's disproven so fast, and a person that owns rifles, stuff like that propaganda shit, I call it propaganda. It's very hard to get a gun in a lot of places. I think I don't quote me on this. I think it's Ohio where it's basically you don't need to take a course. It's, hey, are you mentally sound and do not have a felony? Oh, here's your gun.
Yeah, they just put a background check in it, and that's it.
And it's funny because I've never seen shooting in Ohio. I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I'm not for, how should I put this? I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of everybody packing heat, if you know what I mean.
I
just
think that's
the
bad.
statistics don't actually support this kind of more, well, subjective opinion of mine, but what I believe myself is that it's kind of an unnecessary thing in most cases, because the only thing that will happen is that you escalate a situation that would end up with 2 people getting, blue eyes or something, and instead somebody gets shot. Although that's not statistically significant, that's more of a, common sense thing, I guess. I mean, you don't really need guns, but at the same time, it's the Second Amendment, which is a right. So it's
there's reasons that you would need guns, and there's reason protection. Then buy a pistol. That sounds buy a pistol, but there's some stuff like hunting, things like that, where you're not on a farm. You actually have, and that's where you actually need a weapon of sorts, not just a crossbow.
Yeah, hunting rifles and stuff. In Sweden, it's actually very common with that kind of weaponry. I think gun density, Sweden is like top 10 in the Western world, something like that. America is top 1. And I think the second is Switzerland.
There's a lot of I've never seen any accounts of a school shooting happening in any other country except for us, because I think it happened once and people are like, oh, this exists. I feel like I've been hurt in this world. Let's go make other people hurt.
Oh, yeah. I think there are 2 main factors, and this is kind of a hypothesis I have at this point. The first one is basically crime-on-crime gun violence, which is surprisingly common. And the reason I have this hypothesis is that we have almost the same numbers per population density in Sweden nowadays as we have in the US. And I believe that's mainly due because we have had mass immigration, and we haven't handled it very well. So we basically created ghettos. That's pretty much all we did. So that kind of increased gun violence by a lot. And you can also see this, ghetto or places that are kind of outside the system in the US as well. You have very varying poverty rates. And that's definitely a contributing factor. And I think the second reason is because every mass shooting in the US gets media attention worth millions of dollars. So if you want to make a martyr of yourself, or if you want to, give the system a finger if you're unhappy and bitter and stuff, I mean, that's the best way to do it. You get to become a martyr, and you also get tons of attention for it. I mean, you go down in history pretty much.
Yeah. There is. Oh God, I had a train of thought and it fucking broke itself when you stopped. I think a lot of it is the news. Just the way they cover gun violence has some sort of political standpoint. It kind of is in a sense. The president can come up and say, oh, I believe gun laws should be this, and that. That's the only way it can get political. But guns in general, you can get a gun illegally. But the way the news portrays it is that people went out and bought a gun from a store, and they
Yeah.
were not mentally sound, and then they just turned around and started shooting.
I mean,
That's
I can partially agree with the fact that if there are more guns in the system, of course it's going to be easier to get one. I mean, even if you steal it from someone else, or you break into someone's house, I mean, of course you can get a hold of it easier, theoretically at least. But most of the gun violence haven't actually been someone, like you said, they haven't actually just gone and bought a weapon. That's usually not the case.
a lot of cases. It's in the cases of school shooting, it's the son taking from the parents, and I think that's just a case of fucking teach your kids not to touch your goddamn weaponry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not that read into the specific gun laws in the US, mostly because there are so many different states with separate laws. But in Sweden, at least here where I come from, you actually have a law that says you're not allowed to have actual licensed weaponry unless you have a safe for them. You must have a safe
Yes.
to be eligible for it to have weapons. You actually have special safes that are well built in a manner so they're tall and thin, so you're like they're only made for rifles. It's a rifle safe, and you're not allowed to have those at home unless you have that kind of safe, and it's bolted into the floor.
Florida, not Florida, the U.S. Some states actually do have. You have to have a safe. You have to have the bullet separated from the gun. Which, I mean, sure, but there's also some states that I think goes nuts and says it needs to be in the safe and it needs to be dismantled, and the
Yeah,
ammunition needs to be in a different room.
yeah,
And if a kid goes in that room often, the safe has to be moved to a different area.
yeah.
It's there's so many different factors that play in,
Yeah,
and it sometimes it may just kind of just confuse the law for itself, because a law in the same state would say you need to keep your gun disassembled, and the same type of law would be like, oh, your gun needs to be legal and not disassembled. You need to
yeah,
be able to see what it looks like and what it is.
yeah. It's a bit conflicting. It's very strange, but I think that's partially due because it's such a political climate around the whole gun control thing. Because I think many of the more politically interested individuals that are striving for power actually want it to be a question of politics. They don't want it to be really resolved. It sounds kind of like a conspiracy theory, but that's often the case. If
I
you have a
actually think
subject,
that's true. If they
yeah,
just want a gun problem to continue in order to further their campaign and gain more followers.
yeah, exactly.
That's that's something that political standpoint. Let's say Hillary was all these guns. We need to get them away. And if she got elected, she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't take the guns away.
Yeah,
She would do something close that would get people to go, oh, she's trying, and he'll mute himself.
Yeah,
no,
it's
no,
fine.
no.
No,
I mean, I'm not gonna talk about her policies in general, but specifically looking at guns, I just remember her posting and tweeting about the Las Vegas shooting, and she said
oh,
something along the lines of, "Just imagine if he had had a silencer, how much more damage he could have caused. We need to restrict everything that has to do with guns." And I just sit there and wonder, like, okay, first off, the only people that call it a silencer are Hollywood folks. I mean, it's called a
yeah,
suppressor. It doesn't make it silent.
it's a
It just
silencer.
reduces it.
Oh, look at this video game. I got a
Yeah, yeah, or
silencer.
look, James Bond movies from the 70s when it comes to
Yeah.
silence, like, it sounds like
It's
somebody's.
it's not even silent. It's just like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
still hear everything.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you may not need to use like ear buffs or something, like something for ears, ear protection, but
Actually, I'm pretty sure they were made only to help who didn't want to wear
yeah,
earmuffs. That's
pretty much
that's one of the main reasons.
that's pretty much all they do. And secondly, if you put one of those in the machine gun, it takes about 6 seconds until the thing melts. Um,
Yeah.
so that
They've
just
actually tried
shows.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they tried it plenty of times. I mean, there are even standardizations for it, which guns you can actually use those things on. Um,
Mhm.
but the thing, I think that's not just with Hillary, it's a theme with plenty of people that talk about gun control. I remember an interview I watched on, I think it was Fox or CNN or something, and they did not even know the difference between a semi-automatic and an automatic rifle. And that's like
Yeah, oh god.
baseline stuff. If you don't know that difference, what are you doing in this debate, honestly? I mean, you can talk about how technical stuff may not be super, well, important, but I mean, even if you haven't read up that basic stuff, it kind of tells a lot of how factually invested you actually are.
The whole thing, I with the silence, there's also a whole thing about the man in the Las Vegas, also Hillary trying to further her political goal right after the shooting.
Yeah.
That was instantly a excuse me. That's a little insensitive.
Yeah, it's
But
often like that, and even I think that's for all sides of the gun control perspective. I mean, people always try to use tragedies to further their own goals, which is one of the
yeah,
things
but
I find kind of disgusting about politics. It's like, oh, look at these people that died here. I'm gonna pretend to care, but in reality, I just pretty much dance on their graves to further my own fucking political career. It's like, oh yeah,
that's basically what politics is. Hey, this happened.
Yeah, it's
These
pandering.
people, all these 16 people that died at a 17 actually, 17 people that died from a shooting and all these hospitalized. I will take care of the people in the hospital if you elect me. How
Yeah.
about that?
It's
Just
very anecdotal and it's very pandering. And I mean, I understand why that happens, and that's partially the reason why I don't think I will ever want to go into politics myself, but rather I want to rather be a free spokesperson, educate people. Rather,
oh
because the only
yes,
time
yes.
politics are going to change is if actually the voting market change, and they are forced to change. Because at the moment they're simply playing on the fact that I think the statistic is that about 80% of human decisions, are made based on emotion rather than rationality. Which, if you think about it in your own everyday life, it's pretty true. I mean, most of it is instinct or, what you feel in your stomach or stuff like that. And politicians know this. So if something can get emotional, if you can get emotion in there, if you can actually put a face on a disaster, you can put victims on a gun law, for example, it's much more effective than just doing what I did recently, just pulling out a bunch of statistics and start to talk about correlations and stuff. I mean, that stuff usually gets people pretty bored if you don't choose your audience. So
Yeah.
it's not
I think that the thing about statistics and describing what would happen if this and that. I'm gonna bring up Brave Wilderness. He spoke about how you can't just sit and say something happens. People get bored and click off. You gotta show them what happens.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think a lot of people make a fallacy because what you should do if you want to be pedagogical, you should state the statistics, state the proof, and then after that you pick an anecdotal, not an evidence, but you use the anecdote as an example to actually paint a picture. But what most people do is that they go straight for the anecdotes. They just, here is a singular thing that happened, or here is something that happened. Oh, this proves me right, but in reality it's just one of the many dots on what happens every day. So,
I feel like the only thing that can ever be banned about guns is a bump stock, and even if you do, even if it's not illegal, at least keep it to gun ranges and stuff like that. Because bump stocks are a common thing for AR-15s, where AR-15s are always semi-automatic until a bump stock is introduced, and there's a video on a bump stock and how fast it shoots, and it's literally emptying an entire clip in a matter of seconds.
Jesus.
I think it was to shoot it normally, that's about 15 seconds, and if you have a bump stock, it just keeps on hitting the trigger by itself repeatedly, and it's a bump stock is basically just a hydraulic press that hits the trigger, and it just keeps on going.
Okay, so it's pretty much an external fix to make it fully automatic, sort of.
15 seconds to shoot it, just pop, 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 and then when you add a bump stock, it took less than 5 seconds. And it was just the way he shot it was like it went upwards and it started like spreading everywhere.
Yeah, semi-automatic rifles are usually made to be semi-automatic because of the kick and because of the accuracy.
As soon as they add automatic to the factor, it's fucking the gun is going upwards and shooting into the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's interesting. So what do you think about the recent elections in the U.S.? Speaking of
the recent elections now. Oh boy. Oh, you activated my trap card.
Define recent
Uh-oh, that is...
elections, because I'm pretty sure we're voting for what, senators right now?
Hmm.
Which I haven't been keeping up with,
If we're talking,
obviously.
if we're talking good elections, I'm talking Trump versus Hillary.
Well,
Because
but
both of
I
them are
don't,
wrong hugely.
Oh.
I don't know if that's exactly like recent though.
That's
Like,
not recent, but it's the most popular thing that's been
It's
talked
still
about.
surprisingly popular. It's
well,
Yeah, it's surprisingly popular with social justice
it's
warriors.
confusing me as to how it's still going on. That's for sure.
They want to deport Trump. How about that?
Oh man.
Hey guys, this man, he said a racial thing. Let's kick him out.
Oh god. I actually saw a very interesting. It was not political per se, but I saw a very interesting speech by a guy named Simon Sinek. If you know, he's like an entrepreneur. He makes models for leaderships and management and that kind of stuff. And he made a very interesting statement, which has very much to do with, for example, Trump-Hillary election. And it's this kind of, you can draw it kind of like two curves on a graph. And the first curve goes pretty much linear up, and that's the population. How many people you are in an organization or in a country or in any kind of union, really. And the other line that you draw is supposed to go parallel with this. But after some time, the population gets so big that you start getting separate opinions, you start getting people that think differently, and that line actually doesn't tangent with the other one anymore. And that's pretty much what's happening in the US and much of the Western world, really. That you have an increasing variation of opinions, but the people are not really united anymore. You have a very heavy growth in political investment, but you still don't have a unison within the people. You can't even agree on the most basic stuff anymore. I mean,
It's always okay to disagree on certain topics, but
Yeah, of
now
course.
now it's just like, hey, if you don't like what I like, you're going to hell. Stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's so stupid.
Yeah, maybe I should clarify. Disagreeing is always good if it's just a discussion, because that's how you reach the good idea in the end. You need to iterate. I mean, if you don't have, there's a saying that if you have 10 people in the room and everybody agrees with each other, 9 of them are redundant. And I
Yeah.
think that's very true. But the climate today is that people think so differently that just because someone thinks differently, they're automatically your enemy and they need to be silenced or attacked. And
That
it's a bit scary.
I'm sure you've seen the Facebook post, the Free Hug organization, the black guy that hugs people at protests. I would say his name, but it's the Free Hugs project,
But that
and
sounds pretty cool. So,
he runs around a black shirt that says Free Hugs, and he has signs saying Free Hugs. He records at every protest, and he's usually hugging cops. That's one of his most popular videos on Facebook.
yeah.
He's hugging cops at protests, and it's cool, heartwarming. But then you go right into where he's in a Hillary protest, and he's hugging people, and then a bunch of Mexican Trump followers come into the mix, and they just start throwing stuff at the Hillary followers, and it's just like
Oh, God.
we're living in we're basically having 1,000 civil wars in the U.S. today,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
fucking beautiful.
And the most interesting thing I think about all those protests and people feeling strongly about it is that it's only about supporting an individual. I mean, you see
Yeah.
the same kind of conflict between 12-year-olds and if they have an Xbox or a PlayStation. But they don't actually know what's inside the fucking console. I mean, they haven't actually read up on the processors or the graphics. It's just like, oh, it's the same thing with Hillary and Trump. I think like 90% of the people or more protesting wouldn't even be able to identify the differences in their policies or political, well, prioritization. And that's the funny part. They only go for the character, which is completely pointless.
Mm-hmm. That's so fucking just the potentness of this story. Whew. Whew. It leaves a taste. It leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. It's like drinking black coffee and just chugging.
Yeah, it's like drinking bleach.
Oh God! Don't.
They actually made a study on that, drinking bleach.
I know it's.
Apparently, it's a very slow and painful death because it's slowly like it's almost like acid, but I think it's what's that called in English? The opposite of acid.
A base?
Is that it? Base?
Yeah.
When it's got a pH higher than 7, basically.
Yeah, that's
So
base.
it pretty much erodes your intestines away slowly but surely, and your organs collapse, and eventually, after a very long and painful.
There's people that survived it, but they live with a giant tube sticking out of their stomach.
Yeah, it fucks your whole stomach system up. So
I
drinking bleach to kill yourself? Yeah, not a fan.
let's speak for this real quick. This is going on YouTube, and YouTube still has a YouTube. I might cut out for a minute. YouTube still has a video uploaded where a man actually drinks bleach and he starts vomiting blood on camera. That's still up.
Alright, no.
Oh,
Actually, that was disproven. By the creator
Really?
himself, yeah.
Damn, ruin my story, Noel.
Well,
God damn it! Why you gotta ruin me on my own
hey,
show?
I'm making sure that the facts are straight, alright?
Yeah, except you're not giving your 2 cents.
I
Well,
don't
he is when you're
necessary.
wrong, at least.
God damn it!
That's nice, just sitting in the
I
back.
mean, the video is still up, and it's believable enough for me. I saw that, and it was like, okay, that's whew.
It sounds like the new version of Two Girls, One Cup,
Oh god.
but even more like suicidal.
Remember when? Jeez, remember when Two Girls One Cup was like thing on YouTube?
Yeah, that wasn't the
Reacting to that.
That was like 2007 or something.
That was, I think that was like around the time where you started.
Yeah, I think
That was actually very popular.
Yeah, I think my account was created 2009 on YouTube. I was active slightly before that, but that was when I started uploading my own stuff.
Speaking of your channel, I just can't help but bring this up. The video, I'm just gonna say the video name, and you can continue if you want. My mother's suing me.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting one.
That, whew.
Oh, yeah.
That was the video I told to the partner that's not here, Zeb. I told him that video when he went, "This guy's interesting. Let's have him on." That was the actual conversation.
I think, yeah. If you wanna talk about interesting stories, I think that's definitely one of the most interesting videos I've made. Because and I've had a lot of people contact me say they can relate, which is something I actually was kind of shocked about, because
Relate?
Yeah, that actually said like, yeah, I also have, a quote unquote crazy parent and so on and so forth.
Everyone has something like that. Now it's. I thought you were gonna say, "Oh, my parents divorced and it's crazy like that."
Yeah, no, I mean, a divorce is kind of, it's not nice when it happens, but you get over it quite quickly as long as all the people involved are somewhat reasonable. I mean, it's not a life-ending event.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, if you measure in the Stockholm area, for example, I think 60% of marriages end in divorce. So it was so traumatic. I mean, our entire population would be completely just destroyed. So now I don't believe that it's that traumatic as many people claim it to be, partially because I've been it myself. But the difficult part is afterwards, especially if a parent tries to either use you against the other parent when you're a child, or they try to manipulate you in different ways.
I think it's the old court case of, "Daddy hit me.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to his house anymore."
Yeah, pretty much, something along those lines.
Yeah, it's.
It's a strange system we have for those things. It's very interesting.
The suing. I can't help but bring up the FUPA program that Ethan from H3H3.
Oh yeah, they were.
Where he helps people. If someone sues you for copyright and stuff like that, and it's definitely wrong, the FUPA program will help you get money to settle.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I think that's like one of the best things that's happened.
Yeah, definitely. You really need it, because right now it's a shit show. I mean, you just have copyright claims flying all over the place.
I had a copyright claim on a video of mine called Scream. And Noel, I don't know if you know this, but I had a copyright claim, first ever fucking microphone. my first ever Scream video, which was just me screaming at a pit, it got copyrighted because there was in the background you could hear on the TV, and I can't even hear it to this day. I can't look at the video and hear it happen, but they can hear Teen Titans Go.
Mm.
Yeah, I got a copyright strike. Whew.
Yep.
I only have one monetized video, and it's a video of me turning on a. Oh my god.
The YouTube system is amazing.
I should just write all my videos should just be educational, and I get all the monetization.
Yeah. Pretty much all my old videos were demonetized when that new algorithm hit.
Really?
I mean, yeah, pretty much all of them. I had to manually go in and request on every single one. It was. It took a couple of days.
There's also the fact that those videos are way back there. You don't make money on them, I'm pretty sure anymore.
Yeah, I still do, but I mean the views are not what they used to be, so obviously it's not, it's
Oh,
not a significant amount, but still it ticks.
I'm gonna say, I feel like if you had the views that you used to, you'd never touch this podcast. with a 10-foot pole, you wouldn't look at this podcast and go, that dude just said the FAG word on a fucking live stream. I don't think that's okay.
I've said way worse than that. Oh my god.
Really?
My humor is terrible. Holy shit. I mean, I look back on some of my old videos I made back in the day, and like from 2011, 2012, and I was watching these Let's Plays, and it was very well humor on the spot kind of thing. And I was just listening to myself, like, yeah, I would get fucking destroyed for this nowadays.
Your humor was very ironic.
Yeah.
If you were to say it nowadays, you would always claim ironic. But back in the day, that was like, haha, that's funny.
Yeah, you didn't think about it, but in reality, that's what humor is. I mean, it's sarcastic, or it's something expected, or the wrong word.
Except now you say humongous, and an Indian lady starts yelling at you.
Oh yeah, if that's sexual harassment, I mean, my old videos, I mean, holy shit, I'm literally Hitler.
Ooh, saying that in 28. Oh.
That means so much. I mean, oh god.
Saying there's also the man. I keep on getting. Noel, you're gonna have to correct me. Was it a year ago? The dude trained his pug to do Hitler salutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a year ago, and he's finally got it down in court, but he's guilty and has to pay a fine.
Yep, fine of 800. What was it? 800 pounds.
1,000 pounds.
Which he got paid like immediately the stream afterwards.
Yeah, he got paid. He paid it immediately because everyone on Kickstarter, I think it was Kickstarter or GoFundMe, immediately went to his aid.
Well, because the GoFundMe wasn't for that. That was so he could take it to court.
Yes.
And get it appealed, and he just wanted the money to get the best lawyer possible.
Noel? Instead of hitting start recording, hit start streaming, so,
I guess we're on Twitch.
No, it's just had the error sign saying, you do not have a Steam key.
What?
So
this is why we have backups.
Good first episode of the second. Jesus Christ. His anxiety levels are already fucking through the roof.
Oh yeah, you should, if you want to get traffic to the podcast, you should do that thing with the pug. Teach it how to salute.
I will get my Chihuahua to start doing. To put on a poncho and then do a Hitler salute. Oh boy.
The most funny part is that in the video where he does the salute, he actually says like, "Oh yeah,
this is disgusting.
I'm gonna make the worst, most disgusting thing that has ever existed." Like he really brings it down, like almost too much.
It's almost to the point where it's like, oh, so he's trying to make something bad. Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah, you're a racist. Like, for what? I called Hitler bad. Like, yeah, but you acknowledged that he existed, or something. I don't know.
You acknowledged that a racist man existed. Wait a second. What do you do all day?
Oh, that's very true.
Oh, ooh. I think one of your greatest videos. I forget who is actually in the video, playing Amnesia, a custom map with one of your buddies.
Oh yeah, Slash, I
Um,
think it is.
I think that was. He looked almost like you, but very scrawny.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He has a very similar like base. He's shorter than I am, but he has the same hair
Oh,
color.
that
He
was
has the
obvious
same
by his
eyes.
by his wife beater.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It was sexy.
Wearing a no sleeve tank top, just hanging out.
Oh yeah.
The entire video, you just saw his under his chin because he was laying back watching your game.
Yeah, of course. I was just sitting there enjoying the view.
Oh God, I just remembered how many amnesia penises you saw. Are you okay?
Amnesia penises.
The
Yeah.
white monster. I think
Yeah,
that's the
I
one.
mean, I don't think
That
you would
that.
have the career I had if you didn't enjoy it.
I feel like if you posted a video like that today, I feel like you'd probably get sued.
Yeah. Did you just assume that Amnesia Monster's gender? Like,
Oh God.
yeah.
No.
Oh god.
Oh, hello, male dog. I can see your testicles. Oh wait, I just misgendered a dog. Oh no.
I saw a post about that some time ago. I don't know if it was a real post.
Oh,
just
it
to be
was real.
transparent.
I think you're talking about the meme.
Yeah, the cat.
Where it's like it's bad to misgender your animal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a tweet or something. Yeah.
It was a girl I was talking about. She had went to a Starbucks or something, and two people were sitting on a table and talking about, "Oh, my cat, she is so pretty," or something like that. And she walked up to them and said, "Excuse me, I don't think your pet would appreciate you assuming their gender. Very discriminatory." And
It's I didn't see that one, but it sounds fucking horrifying, and I might get a migraine. Just
it was
just
something like
watching
that.
it.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm not
Actually,
sure it was real or just a fake, but it was interesting nonetheless.
if that was real, then my mom misgenders my male cat all the time. He is
They should be
she
more
just
upset.
automatically.
They should be more upset about the German language if they care much about.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh
because
God.
the German language, you have the word for the, but you have three different forms. You have masculine form, feminine form, and neutral form. And pretty much every single word has a form in front of it, or every single word does. You know, die Katze, that's the cat, but it's the feminine form, die. And you have der Hund, which is the dog, and it's the masculine form. So, I mean, that would be kind of like, oh, you're just assuming all cats' genders. Like, yeah,
just silent. What? Go fuck yourself.
I mean, one thing about these people that do these things, which I find fascinating, is that they always claim to, oppressing oppressed and victims and stuff. But if you actually care that much about that kind of thing, your life must be so freaking good. You must have no problems in the world if you actually care that much about something that benign. I mean, Jesus Christ. Whenever I have something like that, I mean, I usually, or if you can compare to something else, like if somebody were to call me, "Oh, hello there, Mrs." Haha,
Oh
I'd be
God.
like, okay, well, hello to you too, and
You should have looked at him and sued him.
yeah, exactly. I was like, did you just assume? Like, yeah, I did.
I've actually had women that I was being a normal human being polite to them saying, "Oh, you don't have to give me extra help because I'm a woman."
Oh.
Excuse me? Just trying to be a normal human. Love you.
No, that's oh god, it's interesting.
I feel like being classified as a human now is a sin.
Yeah, it is. It is, especially if you're somehow privileged. If you have a house, you live in evil.
Do you live in a trail and every car you own is broken down, so you have to pay a lot of money for a taxi? You're privileged because you're white.
Yeah. Oh god. Not a privilege
Oh,
thing is interesting. I mean, I dare go out on a limb when it comes to that subject and say that it has more to do with culture and instinctual behaviors than with anything else, really. I mean, I wouldn't deny that there are systematic differences, but it's very hard. You can't say that there's a systematic difference, black and white, between genders or between anything. I mean, you have pros and cons on all sides of the fucking spectrum. So saying that one side is oppressed and one is privileged is a bit,
Nick.
it's very simplified, and usually
Oh,
wrong.
of course.
But yeah, it's a bit interesting. What a world we live in. This generation. Fuck me.
I'm pretty sure no one mutes his mic. He doesn't mute the actual his mic on OBS. So
Yes, I do.
Ooh.
okay, good.
I make sure. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing.
No, but going back to what you said about popularity on YouTube, that it wouldn't touch the screen with a 10-foot pole. I like to touch a lot of things with 10-foot poles, but but I'm not sure actually. It depends. I don't think I would do it because it would be unpopular in reference. I think would be more like it would be spammed down between inbox or requests, that kind of thing. Because even back when I had more views than I do now, I didn't really care that much about collaborating with people that specifically had a lot of views. I cared more about who they were, what they had to contribute with, and so on and so forth. I mean, of course, a potential contribution is, subscriber count, that's the whole business deal of it. But if it's an interesting person and the project is fun, then it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's a very, general in business, or at least when you do this like a hobby, it has a lot of different factors in it.
It's like Kingstar and his fucking G Fuel.
Oh god, that G Fuel thing, Jesus Christ.
I feel like G Fuel's going for anyone that has a camera now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I've seen it on like all the gaming channels. It's everywhere.
It's either a G Fuel.
It's like a.
It's
like
powder for
yeah. It's like a vitamin powder, and you shake it up and you drink it. Instead of just drinking normal juice, you have to do it in powder form, I guess.
No, I think it's you put the powder in a drink or something.
Oh, okay. So it's like
it's like a mix it into a pina colada or some fucking bullshit.
Oh wow.
You make a smoothie, you fucking pour some of that sugar in it.
Gamer fuel. For coffee because I'm old now. I'm an old man. I'm halfway to 50.
Well, whoa. To be honest, you're very youthful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I look like a child, at least when I shave. I guess that's good because when I'm 40, I can shave and look like 30.
Yeah, and I'm very young, and people think I'm fucking like 30 now.
Well,
it's
you
very
should
upsetting.
Take the sign of maturity.
Oh,
Hello,
really?
Ladies, I am mature.
Hello, everyone. If you have sex with me, it will totally be legal. Give it a little Urkel snort. I met one person with a snort laugh, and I just couldn't help myself.
Oh God.
I can't talk to those people. My entire thing in life is to tell jokes, and I can't tell jokes around someone like that.
It's very distracting. It can be kind of cute though, but it's very. Yeah, it comes like a shock. It's like I don't want to say a joke itself because it sounds like I'm bullying the person, but it kind of becomes this unexpected thing. Like you're telling the punchline of the joke, and suddenly they do that, and it's like, holy shit, it's another joke.
Or like Jim Carr's inhale laugh.
Oh yeah.
That fucking. Oh, I have the best inhale laughs. No, you've seen my laughing, man.
A bit.
It's sometimes it goes on for like 5 minutes of me going. It's like just heaving, dry heaving of like, oh my god, someone said the N-word. I have to laugh. That's big.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I had like, what was it, Minecraft Let's Plays with the.
Oh god, I remember those.
Yeah, with what was it, Miss Moonica, she was called back in the day, and she had a server with like a factions mod or something, or at least we played on it, and she had that kind of laugh. Holy crap! You could tell a joke, and it was like, it sounded like a kitten that was semi-drowning.
Oh god.
A pig that was snorting cocaine. It was, and I think she kind of did it half on purpose because it kind of became a thing.
She's browsing the internet and found this one video. This one video that's probably gonna get like 5 views.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, what a dick.
Wow, that fucking guy. Like, I invited him to play Minecraft and I was making fun of my laugh. Fucking dick. Piece of garbage.
How dare he?
Yeah, and she would be right. I mean,
I was gonna say a joke about Joji.
Joji.
You know, Joji as in George Miller, aka Pink Guy, Filthy Frank.
Oh, Filthy
And
Frank.
the-
He's
Phil-
a good dude.
He's quit doing Filthy Frank now. He quit Pink Guy, his rapping
Oh.
career. So and now he's doing like, I want to call it like Lawfy hip hop.
Long
And
way.
it's, do you know what Lawfy is? It's that like electronic animation.
Oh, okay,
It's like K-pop but worse.
yeah.
He's
Okay,
doing
nice.
that now, and I was gonna make fun of him for taking the thing that made him popular in the first place and then shitting it out and going,
Oh,
yeah, screw all these people that made me popular. I'm just gonna go play on stage my musical voice. And I was gonna make that
Oh.
joke, but I thought it would reference you and your gaming career.
No, but I think it's nice. But he's very sarcastic as a character as well.
Well, he's not in the character anymore. He's gone.
Oh, really? Wow.
He stopped Filthy Frank and Pink Guy completely. And that
Okay,
was like what, a few months ago?
okay. You haven't kept up to date with that recently, but that sounds like an interesting turn.
Yeah,
But I
it's
think a
an
lot of
interesting
people do
term.
that. Yeah, but I think a lot of
You did
people-
it.
I did it as well.
You
Yeah.
took gaming, the thing that made you went, yeah, I'm getting too repetitive. I don't have
Well,
$5
it was
for a
really
new and improved game.
No,
What
but
are
it's
you
more
talking
than that.
about?
It's the game.
Oh, it
itself.
was. I'm just shitting on you for no reason.
Yeah. No, but I think it's more. I think it has to do with people growing up. To be honest, that's what made the most difference for me because I felt mainly that I didn't improve anymore. I stopped doing progress. I mean, it was the same thing over and over. So, I guess that is what killed it. And of course, there was a lot of stuff around. I was in university. There was a lot of stressful stuff. So
Yes.
the videos became kind of a forced part of life. You know, I have to do this when I get home.
Also, real quick, how's your music career doing? I like your music.
Ah, thanks. Yeah, I still do it. I still work with it. It.
I remember that one Instagram post about your music 5 months ago. Thank you.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Mwah. No, I have a song that I'm gonna release pretty soon. It's pretty much finished. I just gotta finish writing a second verse for it. But that should be up pretty soon. So that's nice.
Ah,
But
beautiful.
I haven't actually spent so much time on it lately that I can make a full album thingy. So it's gonna be more like singles and covers.
How many? You have a lot of single albums
Yeah.
on your Spotify.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Because I don't have the. I mean, I'm not that with music that I have the time to make a full like.
I mean, yes, you
song
have
album,
school
so
and you have a job and
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
all the real life goodies.
Not all the stuff that give you depression. The
yes,
stuff
of
you work for.
Yeah. But of course, if you look at it this way, I mean, the shitty stuff in life gives you contrast, so you can appreciate the good things in life better.
Mm.
Hashtag deep feels.
I feel like I've stolen one of your properties, and that's a
Mm-mm.
just the. Oh yes, I understand you, but I will not say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Nice, I love
contribute,
the
but I
song.
have no words.
Indeed. Ah.
This has been absolutely beautiful.
Oh yes, it's been a beautiful podcast.
To be honest, this is like one of our only good podcasts, I would say.
Aw.
We actually had a conversation instead of just scream.
Yeah, it usually devolves into screaming matches. Can confirm.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, pretty much the entire YouTube community was pretty much only screaming for a few years when Let's Play was
Oh,
a thing,
yeah.
so
Oh God.
it obviously worked to some extent.
I mean, it worked for PewDiePie. It didn't work for you, however. Very scary. Maybe because you weren't afraid of the monsters.
No,
You
I
trolled
took a
them.
different twist. I didn't scream as much. I just messed around with everything. which was a fun thing itself, but it wasn't as.
It was almost like you were playing a sandbox game that was. Damn.
Yeah, I played Amnesia like a normal person plays Minecraft. It's yeah, it was odd, but it's kind of funny. I still see people play the old maps, trolling Amnesia Monster maps and uploading like their own videos of it.
Really,
mean,
I haven't seen any of those either.
Yeah, I mean they're not that big really, but I get them sent to me sometimes from old fans and such. And it's kind of fun. I mean the community as a whole, the frictional games community, it's pretty dead, I would say, or it's very small at least. But it's fun to see that the memories are still remaining.
Well, a lot of people who got popular off of gaming are now doing Terry.
Oh yeah.
I would call you PewDiePie in a sense, but I'm gonna call PewDiePie Mark now because you did it first.
Oh, I remember that was probably the worst thing about making gaming videos, when the fans starting attacking each other, because it was like you had two people playing video games separately that happened to be the same game, and people was like, "Oh, you're just playing this game because the other YouTuber and he was first and this and that." Like, who the fuck cares?
How many hate comments did you get for you copying, or not copying, but doing something PewDiePie did?
Oh, so many I can't even count. I even got a few people accusing me of copying Tobuscus back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, and then I even got a few messages from someone claiming I copied someone who I had actually never even heard of, so that was even more interesting.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was a strange era of YouTube.
It's like just a random fan saying, "Hey, you copied my channel. I
Yeah.
talked about the minions once."
Yeah, exactly. I have a video with minion stickers, and you're I'm gonna sue you now.
I'm gonna sue you.
My dad is a lawyer.
Oh, my dad works at Ubisoft,
Yeah,
and he's gonna ban you from the Xbox network.
My dad works at McDonald's.
I feel like that's that's just depressing. It's a kid thinking that's an I feel like kids actually think that's an insult.
Oh yes.
My dad works at McDonald's, and you're not gonna get your Whopper.
He can eat Happy Meals
I eat more Happy Meals than you.
Well, I eat sad meals.
Oh God.
No, those were the days. It was fun. It really was.
It was fun having someone actually unironically telling you he has 300 confirmed kills and is in the Navy.
Oh yeah, he with the guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
That was the best fucking thing.
I participated in guerrilla warfare. The president owes me favors.
I can kill you with my pinky finger, you little shit, and the early days of internet trolling, those were memorable.
The early days of internet trolling, pedophilia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's basically it.
Hey, my girlfriend is like Windows. She's 7. Yeesh.
God damn. If he said Windows 7 and Windows 10, that really proves how old the thing is.
Oh yeah. Oh god, no. Oh, it doesn't get better. I mean, slightly better, but not good. No.
Jesus. I feel like for this podcast, I have to use a VPN so people won't hear me.
You have to blur out your name and distort the voices.
Yeah, right.
All of us are gonna have white. We're gonna have a camera pointed at a white screen and our shadow behind the screen.
Oh yeah, we can have anonymous masks on.
Oh hell yeah! All this podcast would have gone great with all of us cameras and all of us had anonymous masks.
Oh yeah, that would have been a real meme.
That would have been a beautiful meme.
It's all about the Mace, bro. It's all about
oh God! Don't call it that.
Okay, it's memes.
Yes.
Meme.
That just how you call the Bible, the Bible.
Yeah, the Bible.
It's upsetting because Onision started that.
Oh no, not him.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Oh.
Excuse me, I'm here to make you madder than ever. Let me say the one word, Onision. Oh God, I'm melting.
Like a snowman in the sun.
Oh God. Jesus Christ.
Ah,
The B movie keeps attacking.
the B movie theme. Oh, there's a. You want to watch a B movie? There's a film from like the 80s that's called Killer Tomatoes.
Wait a minute.
And it's basically like a bunch of tomato plants that come alive and they start attacking people and they shoot like tomatoes on them and people run around like, oh, they die all around and it's like horrible. Killer
Is that
tomatoes.
real?
Yeah, it is a thing. It is a thing. You can actually Google it. Even the cover looks like a.
Please
Like
tell me
an
that
old...
was made in a foreign country.
I
Is that a
know.
North Korean cartoon?
No, it's. I think it's American.
Oh
I think
no.
it got. There was like an award that's called like the what's it called? Like the. It's kind of the shittiest movie of the year or the Turkey movie of the year. It's called something like that, and it got that award 2 years in a row.
I think we can all privately laugh at the thought of Squirrel and Hedgehog. That
Squirrel?
North.
Oh.
It's a North Korean cartoon for kids
Oh.
about Russia is a bear, and he's drunk all the time. That's
That's surprisingly accurate.
the U.S. are a bunch of wolves
Yeah.
that attack without reason.
Well.
That's their description. Their description.
Well, without reason, no. There's usually a very moral reason. Oil and.
Excuse me, my baby has baby oil. Oh God,
Oh,
they're
no.
breaking into the windows.
Isn't it? Oh, I think that's a quote from Gordon Ramsay. Like, "Oi, mate, that plate is so fucking oily that America wants to fucking invade it."
Oh yes, yes.
So good. Oh.
Oh boy. Oh, those oil memes are just so great. Did you hear about the bombing in Syria?
Which one?
Which one? They used Syria used environmental weapon, nuclear. I think it was nuclear.
Ooh.
Basically, they violated an act that said no nuclear bomb, and
Oh,
so
yeah,
Trump warned Russia and all of their troops to get out because their shit's going down, and they bombed Syria.
Oh.
Now oil's spilling out. Oh, is that?
Yeah, that. Oh God. Yeah, that wasn't too hard to predict. Jesus. What a world
Okay.
we live in.
No. Seb's awake.
Oh.
Oh God.
I mean, the current. I mean, the political stuff around the world nowadays. I think I see it as a reality show. I mean, it's kind of. Yeah, that's kind of a reality show.
I think everything's done for the views now.
Yeah, it's all for the likes and the memes.
It's all for those Facebook shares.
Oh yes. Just like my profile pic.
Oh God.
What?
You're with a profile picture on Discord, which is nothing, or you're a creepy dude just sitting there.
Because I was about to say, I don't. What is it we're doing again?
Noel's profile picture where he's crying.
Aww.
It was changed to that recently. It was supposed to be a joke because a friend of mine supposedly had the same picture, but no, he's got it on Steam, so it doesn't work. And it's a little upsetting.
Oh.
Oh no.
Well, the good thing, if you have a crying picture, you will always be seen as very jolly because people expect you to be super depressing. But then you come on and look like a normal person, like, oh, he's so jolly.
Oh my God, he's not going to kill himself. Oh my God. He isn't crying for attention. Wow.
Oof.
Yeah. Improvements.
Wait, what's going on? Whoa, hang on.
Hello?
What did you do?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
No.
Nah, it's all good.
How dare.
Did you lose your pants again?
No, I'm pretty sure they're still attached. Fairly certain. There's a 98% chance that they are.
Did he say attached?
I might have.
That's an interesting term to describe the acquiring of pants.
I was about to say, how else would you... Like, what other descriptive words could you use? Alright?
Ooh. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure attached is the most applicable here.
Well, it sounds like you've sewed them on. It's very disgusting.
Oh God, it's like an amnesia monster.
Yeah.
I feel like it was very hard not to when you joined.
It was very hard not to.
Fangirl.
Oh.
Because as soon as you join, I'm like, wait a second, let me calculate this. Oh, I've been watching fucking ever. And now I finally get to speak with the man.
Well,
I'm surprised when it does not have a voice changer.
No, not really. Just a fancy mic.
Just a fancy mic.
H fancy. Apart from the fact that if you twist it in a certain way, it starts to make like buzzy noises. So
Oh, Sam.
yeah, it's my because my
I
cat
think. Oh
brushed
God.
my lower ones, so now it's got like this little click thing. So yeah.
As soon as the cat touches my mic, it's broken.
Yeah, pretty much like that. The cat can look at it. And
It's like, alright, I'm just gonna kill myself. I'm gonna get eaten alive by a cat.
uh,
Jesus. I think one of the best things that made your channel popular in the first place was that you took so much of a different approach to gaming.
oh yeah.
You didn't go in, you didn't start screaming, you didn't really, you made jokes that you thought were funny. You didn't appeal to the audience.
That's
And
I think that's pretty true. Maybe
It's-
that's partially the reason why I didn't become the PewDiePie, but
it's also, there's also a reason why people enjoy you so much is that you don't ponder or pander.
yeah. No, I never found that to be. I don't know. I want to say fake, but that's an overused term. I think
Um,
it's more. I don't want to say like it's because I'm truer or better than everyone. I just think it's because I enjoy having people around me more that just enjoy the stuff I do for the stuff I
you
do.
don't want to shape your own personality so differently that it's
No.
basically just
Well,
different than
then
what
it
it
wouldn't be
started out.
enjoyable. I mean, it's one thing if you create a character, like Pink Guy, for example. That's one part of it. That's one thing. But when you actually are somewhat close to who you are in reality, uh, you don't want to fake it too much because I think that just creates it into a very, very nasty situation.
Yes. I say you have to fake some bits
Yeah, of
just
course. I
just
mean,
to
it's
appeal
kind
to
of
the audience.
yeah. I mean, when you do gaming content, for example, you always overhyped stuff a bit. It's kind of you're still yourself just a bit more.
Like, oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, if you normally would play a game, you're like, oh, that was kind of scary. And in a video, and when you're recording, we'd be like, oh my god, I dropped my pants.
It's
And
like the midnight opening of Halo 3, and everyone was going nuts to get it, except as soon as they got the game home, they were just really unenthusiastic.
yeah,
They're like, oh my God, I waited 15 days, hit this,
yay.
and now I have it, and I want to die.
What am I spending my life on? No, but I think that's an interesting. I believe somebody actually said something. I can't remember who it was, but somebody said something very true that if you work, stress is when you work towards something that you don't like, and when you work hard towards something you like, it's called passion. And I think
Mhm.
that's pretty much what makes you successful on YouTube is if you have that kind of drive without thinking about popularity or without thinking about money. If you actually just do something that you enjoy doing and it happens to gain traction, that's when you will actually become successful. And
God,
I know a
it's
lot of people that have contacted me over the years with tips on how to grow on YouTube, how to start a channel. And that's probably the mistake that everybody does. Everybody comes from it from the angle like, okay, how do I get 10,000 subscribers fast so I can get my partnership? And it's like, no, it's not really about that. If you just want to work for the money, you should probably not do something as creative and personally invested as a
hold
YouTube
that
channel.
thought. Newbles, my partner, he has finally came on, and we're gonna have him on for the rest of the podcast. So let's add him here.
Good stuff. The more the merrier.
God.
Hello.
Oh, hi there.
Hello there, young lady. How are you doing? And that profile picture along with that laugh, it's just wonderful.
You should have saw my old one.
Mm-mm.
My old profile was from a movie, and it had the words teddy bear next to a weird fucking face.
Oh, that makes it even better.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it was from the same scene. Except got his.
It was. Are we bringing Dennis into this now?
Oh,
Talking
you want to
about-
talk about Dennis? Crazy.
it's a
Have
pretty
you
nice-
heard of Dennis?
Dennis the Menace, or I'm assuming it's a Dennis more related to you personally.
No. Dennis is about it's a character in a movie.
Okay.
The full length movie is called Teddy Bear, but the what was
What
the
it's based
short
off.
release?
It was
What's-
based off I think it's a Polish short film known as Dennis. Quite a good movie. It's about this very big man, very beefy. He just wants to get beefy and find love, but no matter where he looks and how hard he tries, he cannot. I think the symbolic thing behind it is that Dennis is supposed to represent us and how we feel out of place, no matter where we are, no matter the situation. We feel as though that we can't relate to anyone.
Yeah.
But that's just the opinion of some stupid white 15-year-old from Georgia. So take it with a grain of salt, I suppose.
Yeet.
Dennis is such a great. Actually, Teddy Bear, I think ruined the illusion that he felt out of place because he found something.
And she was a hooker.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the movie, he ended up back in the arms of his loving mother, who would never ever let him down.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a good movie. Actually, if you want after this, we can pirate
Yeah, talk
No,
about illegal
no.
activities on the
it.
podcast.
We don't pirate it. We just go to that 1, 2, 3 movies.
Yeah, because that's not pirating either.
Actually, it's not. It's just streaming.
It's like that old commercial, like, you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't kill a 5-year-old.
You wouldn't
Well, if you
download
download
apps.
videos illegally, kittens will cry and children die. It's like,
Don't copy that. Copy.
Pretty sure they won't cry. Or maybe I'm just a sadistic fuck and I downloaded it anyway.
When they cry, my erection gets twice as high.
Oh yes.
Yeah, this was what the podcast was going to be the entire time if you joined.
I kind of like dick jokes.
Oh boy, let's
Nothing like a
get
dick
into it then.
All right,
yeah,
I'm back.
so
What did I
the-
miss?
the best
Screw
Oh.
civil conversation.
I would say the best thing about my humor, personally, is that it never gets old. Because it wasn't fun in the first place.
You know what does get old? The cum stains on the top.
Ooh. Okay.
He was
okay.
just talking about something. God damn it.
Well, you know what's so good about inappropriate jokes? They're just like cancer children. They never get old. Thank you. Thank you.
This man lasted years on YouTube. God damn it. He needs an award.
Oh.
You know, I have a-
think, yeah.
A man with the godly chin. Or
Oh,
jawline.
yeah. God damn it, he puts mine to shame. Like I every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, my only redeeming quality is my jaw. And then I look at fucking other humans alive. Kind of makes me want to cut off my fucking mouth. Put it fly out.
I don't think.
Jeez.
I don't
Cut
think
from the
that will
tendons
get
and rip my
better.
jaw off as hard as I can, so I'm nothing but a screaming, pulsating flesh bag running around going, "Ah! Ah!" because my fucking jaw is unhinged. in my
I
body.
see what you mean now, but screaming dick jokes
Yeah.
and screaming. I can relate now. No, but you know what they say is that the inside counts. So I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, man.
No. So let's just say the
It's
entire
because of all the soy the
was
Jews are putting in the water.
matches. So we had a little talk about guns while you weren't here.
Did you talk about how rather than taking away guns from psychopaths that the government thinks is citizens,
Oh wait,
why
I
we should-
didn't. You can say that yourself.
Okay,
That's
Jacob,
I
you,
don't
you
associate.
you told me not to say this yesterday. Are you sure I should say it?
Go for it. Go for it.
No.
Crazy's a pretty cool guy. He'll understand.
Mark, have you seen the John Favreau film Chef?
Oh, God. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Hang on.
I think we gotta pirate something now.
That's fine.
Whoa.
Ask your questions, Zeb. Come on.
I did ask my question, you fucking
You had
plebeian.
like. Oh. Oh.
Don't hold up the podcast for little old me.
We could have left you.
Yeah, you honestly could have just left my ass in the dirt. And that's okay. I would have just waited and gotten my 50% off the fucking video.
God damn it! Stop bringing up. We're not gonna get money until we are good.
Oh, what was that, Jacob? I'm sorry. What was that? You owe me all the money you owe me. Frick.
All right. Well.
Love you.
Has it gotten to that point?
It hasn't, but it's pretty long as it is. So. I'm pretty sure it's safe enough to cut
we
now.
have time for
No,
outro?
hey, hold up. Yeah, you got time, I suppose.
Nice views.
Cut.